Choo choo.
I thought we agreed we weren't going to do
All
that.
aboard the Orient Express.
Okay. That's right, baby. It's time for Movie Trailer Trash. Enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Movie Trailer Trash. My name is Charlie.
And I'm Bethany.
And we just watched the trailer for Murder on the Orient Express, as you could tell by Bethany's sound effects at the very beginning.
Ooh, spooky.
Oh, spooky. And it's kind of spooky because this is Halloween weekend.
This is Halloween weekend.
Halloween was or is this Tuesday based on when I get this episode edited and put out into the world.
Yeah.
And
Or if you're listening to this a year from now, it was a long time ago.
there you go. It was
never know.
It was roughly a year from right now.
I think some people like to listen to our episodes long after the movies come out.
Really? Just to see
Just
how
to see
stupid
what we
are?
thought. Yeah.
Well, Murder on the Orient Express, this is a remake of a movie that was taken from a book that is super, super old. So,
Cool.
the book is Murder on the Orient Express, and it's by Agatha Christie,
Okay.
who is a very famous mystery suspense writer
Sounds familiar.
who does a lot of these like whodunit type
Do
things.
you remember what year this book came out?
I
Or
think no, I
century?
definitely wrote it down. 1920.
Okay. Oh, so not that. I
1927.
mean, long ago, but not as long ago as I was expecting.
Yeah, it's something. It's in the 20s or 30s range.
So, you know,
Yeah, 27.
many of your grandparents were young
And then the
when
first
this came out. Maybe they read it.
movie version of this came out in 1974, and that was
Cool.
pretty popular also. And now here's this one that is coming out in 2017.
So it must be a dang good story if they're going to do it again.
Yeah, and I mean Agatha Christie is very, very famous for doing these types of stories.
Does she have any others that I would know off the top of your head? Probably
Yes, but I don't.
You didn't write them down?
I
That's
didn't
fine.
write them down.
Her name just sounds familiar to me, so I was interested. But anyway, so the Murder in the Orient Express, neither of us have seen the original movie, correct?
Right, that is
Okay.
correct. And I've
And
never read the book either.
I've never read the book. So if we end up going to see this movie, we're going in with fresh eyes.
Well, and also I
That's
think
kinda
that's
cool.
the way that you would enjoy this movie the most.
Well, I'm wondering, though, do they change the story?
I don't know.
Because if anybody has seen the original, then they know who the killer is. So what's the point in ever seeing
Well,
another
I
one?
mean, that's just like any mystery movie, you know? It's like people, like, what's the point of seeing Memento multiple times? It's to
I don't get the point,
appreciate
man.
the other parts of it.
I don't get
You've
the
seen
point.
The Prestige
Yes,
multiple
but
times.
that's different
Why?
because it's so good. There's layers upon
Exactly,
layers.
that's the point. So, like, for this one, if you've already seen or read the story before, it would be to see these different actors portray these different people.
Well, yeah, and maybe to see, just like if you see a movie over and over again, like The Prestige, if somebody has seen the 1970s version of this
There's probably a lot
multiple
of
times,
clues.
there's probably, like it's fun to watch something when you know what happens because then you're like, oh, I didn't see that the first time.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something like that. I was
Which
just curious, though, because I
we've
wonder if they
been-
would try and change it. They could easily change it. It's a whodunit mystery, so you could easily have like very slight variations, and the murderer could be someone else.
Well, and we just watched the first 4 Harry Potter movies in a row.
Yeah, we did.
And it's cool to watch those without knowing what's going to happen because you can see like suspicion on people's faces and certain things in
You
the
mean
background.
with knowing what's going to happen?
Yeah, sorry, did I say without?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with when you
'Cause we've
already
already
know
seen them, yeah.
what's going to happen. And you can watch them and you see them do things in the background, and
Yeah.
you know people are not trusting of other people or they look weird or whatever, and you know
Yeah.
why, and it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I agree.
But in this trailer, and in this movie and in this story, there's a bunch of people on a train, and I don't really know when it takes place. Probably sometime in the 1920s.
Yeah, it looks old. And they have 20s hairdos, the women do.
Well, Kenneth Branagh and his crazy mustache.
Is that the main guy that was Gilderoy Lockhart?
Yes.
Okay, because we just watched the Harry Potter movie, so since you brought it up. Gilderoy Lockhart.
He's also directing this movie.
Oh, wow. Gilderoy Lockhart is
And
directing this movie?
He's directed movies before, and he has, he does.
I like him as an actor.
He is the director of the first Thor movie, which
Well,
I
that's
thought was
cool.
weird because he's directed a bunch of other ones, but most of them are very like,
Artsy?
I guess, yeah, theatery.
Okay, yeah.
So, which this one
Like
is kind
this.
of also.
You could
like
picture
he's
it on a
done
stage.
like different Shakespeare movies that
well, that
he's
makes
directed.
sense, though, because Thor talks Shakespearean.
There you go.
He does. Like throughout the first one, especially, he uses a
Yeah.
very Shakespearean language. So
And
that's kind of funny.
he plays the main guy in this, Poirot, the detective.
He's the detective. Yeah.
And apparently,
He has an awesome mustache.
in the Agatha Christie verse,
Okay.
so all of her
Universe.
books, she wrote a ton of books over the course of like 15, 20 years. And this guy was in like half of them.
So he is the infamous detective, like they
Right.
say in
He's
the trailer.
the literal famous, not infamous. He's the famous detective.
Whatever.
Infamous means you're famous for doing something bad.
Whatever.
I assume that Johnny Depp's character, the gangster in this, is infamous.
Wow, way to ruin it for me. I didn't know he was a gangster.
It says the gangster on the screen when it
Do you
shows
think
his
that
face.
I ever read words that are on the screen? Because I don't. I don't.
He points a gun at the camera, and then in bright blue letters it says the gangster.
I'm too busy looking at people's faces to read words. That's what's so hard about subtitles.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, can I see what's happening or can I read the story? I don't know.
But honestly, in this one, I think, and this will probably be different for you, I'm guessing.
Okay.
I think that the best thing about this movie is going to be the different people playing their different roles.
Okay. Well, I think that any murder mystery is fun if it's done well. First of all.
Like Black Cat.
I was just going to say that. Dang it. You've been one step ahead of me all day.
Uh-huh. Always am.
But no. So Charlie and I watched this movie. We kind of stumbled upon it last Thanksgiving. So a year ago.
Uh-huh.
We were with family and flipped to a channel and it had The Black Cat, which is an
Presented
old
by
movie.
Svengoolie, if anyone out there knows who Svengoolie is.
And that's only a Chicago thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so shout out to Chicago people. But basically,
Shout out to my mom.
yeah. But basically, though, Svengoolie is just a weirdo in a weird clothing who talks about old movies. He like interrupts them along the way.
A weirdo.
I mean, from what I could tell,
A
this is my
comedic
one time.
mastermind
No,
is what
very,
you mean.
very bad. Like we could have done that so much better. In fact, we've planned it. We've talked about it before. Basically, he
We
watches
have?
the movie. We've talked about
wanna-
watching the movie and then doing.
Do you want to start a
dialogue
cable
over
access show that is us
No.
doing a Svengoolie knockoff?
No,
I do.
But anyway, no, we talked about like watching Black Cat and doing our own commentary during it because we loved it so much, and it
Yeah.
had no right to be as good as it was. It was like an old black
No,
and
it
white
wasn't
movie
good.
with like cheesy acting and overdramatic reactions from the actors. But I didn't know who the murderer was.
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
I wanted to know.
And when he tackled that suit of armor, I was like, what?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, there's some really just
We're
hysterically
going way
bad.
off the rails here.
I'm just saying. Okay, so any murder mystery is fun because you
Yes.
want to know who the murderer is.
Yes. And especially
And-
old-timey ones because
Yes.
there's kind of like you don't have cell phones.
Yeah.
You can't look anyone up or do anything or, you can't call
Yeah, like if somebody
wherever.
snuck away, you're screwed.
Yeah, if the phone line
He
is
had
down,
to shut the
then-
train down and be like, everybody on this train stays put. We're going to figure this out.
and there's nothing you can do about it.
And then we're just going to figure it out using our brain. We can't like go back and find, the digital evidence that you were online or that you were
Right.
texting somebody about killing somebody, you know?
Yeah,
Like there's
exactly.
none of that. So, I mean, it doesn't mean that new age ones can't be good, but old ones are fun.
They're more fun.
And I think that that's what'll be fun about this.
It's
I
just
think
like how sitcoms in the 90s are more fun than sitcoms now.
even though you hate laugh tracks.
Well,
You're-
what are you going to do?
You're a complex person.
I'm a paradox.
Anyway, so I agree with you though. I think the acting is going to be really interesting because it has Gad. What's that guy?
Josh Gad.
Josh Gad. I almost said Jared. Josh Gad. I think that guy's hilarious, but I think he's going to be playing kind of a different role in this. Like he's not going to be the goofball necessarily.
He'll make jokes.
Yeah, but he won't be as over the top goofy as he
It's
is.
like Johnny
you know.
Depp looks like he's going to be pretty funny.
He's not going to play Olaf, and in a lot of movies he plays that type of character. Like in that one movie, Frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays Olaf in that.
And you know what's interesting is that, like I said, is that Kenneth Branagh is very theatery, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
it definitely feels like a theater
There's
production.
There's some theatery people in this.
Really?
So Josh Gad got
Yes.
his start with the Book of Mormon.
Yes, and he's definitely
Um,
a theater nerd.
The guy, it's Leslie Odom Jr. is one of the guys in it, and that's the guy from Hamilton.
Oh,
I think.
wow.
I'm pretty sure that it's Aaron Burr.
making guesses, wild guesses.
Let's go to the phones.
Anyway, I like that the girl from Rogue One is in it. What's
Yeah.
that girl's name? Do you know?
No, not Rogue One.
Oh,
Star Wars.
Star Wars?
That's
That's Rey.
Rey.
Ah.
Daisy
Let
Ridley.
me tell you, anytime I see Daisy Ridley and the girl from Rogue One, when they're not in costume, I get them mixed up completely.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, if they were side by side, I would easily be able to tell them apart. But they have similar features, okay? Similar cuteness to their face. But
Similar cuteness.
okay, Rey. I'm excited that Rey's going to be in it.
Maybe they're supposed to be related. Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yes, he was Leslie Odom Jr. was Aaron Burr in Hamilton, and he's getting all of his, opportunities to prove himself as not just a theater actor.
Yeah.
And if he's good in this, I bet he'll get more roles.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see Daisy Ridley because I've never seen her in anything else.
Uh-huh.
And she looks awesome in that 1920s hairdo.
Yeah, and you have
Also, if she is related to Jyn Erso, she can't possibly be her daughter because she was so young and she clearly died. So she's going to have to be like a distant second cousin.
you also have Willem Dafoe, who's an
Just needed
amazing
to say
actor, who is also kind of theatery. He's like really like big and
Oh, yeah.
over the top.
Oh, yeah. He
Um,
loves theatrics.
And you have Judi Dench, who I'm sure has done theater before.
Absolutely.
And you also have
What was her name?
Penelope Cruz is kind of out of nowhere.
But
I haven't seen her in anything in a while.
What's the woman from Crazy Stupid Love?
Which one?
The redhead?
Emma Stone?
Nope, she's not in this. The one that's in this.
The one that's in this?
Yeah. She
Oh,
has
Michelle
blonde hair.
Pfeiffer?
No, she has blonde hair in this. She is Julianne Moore.
Julianne Moore's not in this.
I swear I saw Julianne Moore.
I think you're thinking of Michelle Pfeiffer.
Well, they must look like twins.
Eh.
It looked like Julianne Moore in a
The girl that says, I know what it's like to have a
blonde
man in my
wig.
bedroom?
Yeah. she
Yeah,
looked
that's
just
Michelle
like
Pfeiffer.
Julianne Moore. Are they sisters?
No.
Oh, okay.
They are not.
I just had to check. I did think that line was lame. Wow, she looks just like Julianne Moore.
I think it's taken out of context.
Well, it's stupid because it's like, I know what it feels like to have a man in my room. What? What does that even mean? You know what
It's
it feels like to
implying
just
that
have
she's
another
a
man
slutty older woman.
in your room?
That's what it's implying.
Or is it implying that the man who was rummaging around your room was also having sex with you? Trust me, it was a man. We were having
Trust
sex.
I would know.
I know what it feels like when a man is in my room sleeping with me.
Quote unquote in my room.
Yeah, it was just I just thought it was cheesy. However, I think that they're gonna be kind of, it's an old school movie,
Yeah.
an old
They're all
school
gonna
story,
have their-
so be over the
it's-
top, do the very theatrical.
It's interesting.
They're
They're
over
gonna
the top
have
characters.
all of their own individual monologues and like things where they like go on for a couple paragraphs
Yeah,
and
that'll
stuff
be
like
fun.
that. And yeah, it'll be cool. He's gonna separate them. He's gonna have individual conversations with each different one. There's gonna be some sort of reenactments of stuff
Well,
that's
and there's
going on.
clearly somebody trying to escape the train at some point, or a couple of people.
I think
There's some
that-
weird stuff going on outside of the train.
I think that those are the majority. So whenever you see like the person who you can't tell who he is,
Yeah.
those are going to be like people telling stories of what they thought they saw.
Oh, that would be cool.
I think that's what that is.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah, I think it's interesting. I like Daisy Ridley. She says the whole thing about how I'm sleeping out here, where where everybody can see me and I can see all of you.
Mhm.
Like she's so scared. They're
She
all
is scared.
scared because you're on the train with a murderer.
Yeah.
What?
What?
That'd be so scary. That's another reason that these things are awesome. Like Black Cat. Part of what was awesome about it is all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I think that this person is trying to kill me.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, this person is clearly not the killer. I was mistaken and freaking out for no reason. There's all these like, it's just a scary thing. Like, what are you going to do? Leave? You
Yeah.
can't leave because you're trying to find a murderer.
And so obviously this trailer, because the whole point of the movie is that it's a mystery, doesn't really give you very much, except for they got all of these awesome people to be in it.
Yep.
And they look really cool. And they
Awesome
have an
costuming.
interesting soundtrack, at least for the trailer. I doubt it'll be all of that during the movie. And there's going to be a 70mm showing of it. So they're going to shoot it on film. And so it's going to
Oh,
be
really? That's cool.
interesting
That's
if
fun.
you go see that specific version of it. So that's cool. But yeah, let's go on to where, when, and how you're going to see it.
Okay.
Where? When? How? Are you going to see this movie? The reason
Oh,
that
you
I
just jumped into it.
Well, yeah, you got to jump into
Okay,
it
go
because I
ahead.
was continuing from what I was just saying. The reason I mentioned that with the 70mm stuff is that it will affect how you want to see the movie.
Absolutely.
Because if the movie And here's what I'm going to say for my where, when, and how. Is that if the movie gets really good reviews right off the bat,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to wait, and if it gets good reviews right off the bat, I think I would want to go see a 70 millimeter version of it.
And they do have one of those theaters in the area.
Yeah, I think
in the
there's a
Kansas
couple,
City
actually.
area. Yeah. So we live in Kansas City, so we could probably do that. That would be cool.
But it has to be good, because I'm not just
Yeah.
going to go see it right away
Like if
without
it gets
knowing.
like a 50%, probably not going to go see it in 70 millimeter.
Right.
Maybe rent it if it gets 50%, because 50% is pretty good for a murder mystery, as we have seen with Black Cat, which probably has like 40%.
Well, no, probably worse than that.
I wouldn't be surprised if it had 40%.
And because I saw that there was a quote, there was an article about how Kenneth Branagh was really into like wanting it to look real, really real.
That's cool.
And the quote was, "I want people to smell the steam of the Orient Express."
Oh, wow.
You
That's
could tell,
the main director. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the director and the guy with the mustache.
Yeah, you could tell he's very theatrical and really loves
I kind of
theater.
love that.
Yeah, right.
Well, okay, so your
I want them to
recommendation,
experience it.
how, when, and where, when, and how, and where you're going to see it is you're going to
if
see
it's
it
good.
in 70 millimeter if it's good.
Yeah,
So you aren't going to see it on the 10th when it comes out
right.
by any means. Well, I kind of feel similarly. We've got stuff to see. Okay, we've got Thor to go see this Friday. That's already booked, tickets bought. And then coming up soon after in December, we've got Star Wars. And I don't know what great things are coming in between then and there. I do know the 3 billboards outside Hibbing, Missouri.
Yeah.
I'm
That's coming
going
out
to see
soon.
that one in theater.
Mhm.
So I could see waiting on this one, but I agree that if it gets really good reviews, we should see it in 70 millimeter because it's going to be fun.
Because it's cool.
If it doesn't get great reviews, but it gets like 50%, we should wait and watch it when it comes
It's
out
just
on
the same reason
streaming.
you get records. It's like people ask
This
you
is
why
fun.
are you getting records, and it's because it's
It's a
because
little
it's cool,
different.
because it's fun.
It's slightly different.
That's why.
And that's cool. Yeah. But I could see renting it at home if it doesn't get great reviews and really having a good time. Turning
Yeah.
off all the lights at night on a cold winter night when the sun gets dark at
Because it is
4:30.
snowing.
Yeah.
So there
Gets
you
dark
go.
at 4:30. You're like, screw it. It already feels like 10 o'clock at night. We might as well watch a movie. So that's my other option. So my 2 options, either watch it in theater if it's getting good reviews or watch it anyway because it's a fun, interesting murder mystery.
If you are going to see it in theaters, try to find a 70 millimeter one because like I said,
Because why not?
because why not?
Is it more expensive?
Probably.
But probably by $2, $3.
It's probably a lot more expensive.
What?
Because
I'm
to
not buying a
justify-
$20 ticket. I
to
can tell you that
justify the
much.
fact that it's on film, that costs more. That's why no one does movies on film anymore.
Well, yeah, it costs more, and also most theaters don't have it, so it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, all right, so let's move on then to the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Rotten Tomatoes percentages. All right. Rotten Tomatoes percentages, everybody. Murder on the Orient Express. I think that a really good mark for this movie, and I think that it'll hit it, is 73% from the critics.
Okay.
Now,
Is that the mark that would get you to go to the theater?
yeah, I think it's
Okay.
if it's over 70, I would go see the film
That's totally
version
fair.
of it. And I think that it's impossible for it to get a lot more than that just because of the kind of movie it is.
The genre, the fact that it's been done before.
It's been done before. It's
They're going to be
nothing-
comparing it to the old one. There's a lot going against it.
It's not life-changing enough to
Yeah.
get over, to get near that 90 mark.
Here's the thing. Nobody's going to leave the theater and be like, oh my God, you have to see this movie.
Right.
Like, it's not going to be like an Inception or, The Dark Knight where you just leave the theater like jaw dropped. Like,
Right.
I can't believe what I just saw. It was so amazing. Now, it could be really good. And I was going to give it a 74 for
Oh,
critics.
wow. Sure you were.
I
Copycat.
was. Hey, that's why I said, wait, let me think. But I was thinking it could be as low as 64 for audience. Just
Really?
because, think about this.
I was going to give it higher
People
for audience.
are impatient nowadays.
I
And
was-
it is going to be a lot of monologues and a lot of sitting around talking.
I was going to give it an 81 for audience.
Well, you go and do that then.
And because this is another movie, because we've said this before about a lot of movies, is that the people who are going to this one know what they're going to.
That's true. I could see that. However, it's also coming out the weekend after Thor comes out. So a lot of people might be seeing it just because they want to see a movie and they've already seen Thor.
I think that people will see it. I think that this movie will be one that people see that, they're the people who don't like superhero movies.
Sure, maybe. I could see that. You're right. It probably will get high. I could see the critics giving it as low as a 64. But I went for 74. I went ahead and bumped it up because it looks like such good quality. It has great actors. It already comes from a successful story that's been done in 2 ways, via book and movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really beautifully shot. It looks really beautifully shot.
It does. And Kenneth Branagh has directed a few things, or a decent amount of things. He's more famous for his acting. He's been in more stuff for his acting than his directing. But you know what? I never talked about the writer for this movie.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
And
Tell me
it's a
about
guy
it.
whose name is Michael Green. So
Okay.
there's that. But
Okay.
he's written a few things in the last few years. The worst one being Green Lantern. Whoops, dropped my pen.
Okay.
The worst one being Green Lantern. The second worst one being Alien Covenant.
Okay.
And so those 2 movies were really, really bad and really poorly reviewed.
Sure.
But then he wrote a large portion of Logan,
Great movie.
which is a great movie, and he is the lead writing credit for Blade Runner 2049,
Which we hear is good.
which we not only hear is good, but also has amazing reviews from everyone who
Yeah.
sees it. So this guy is a very good writer, and it would be interesting to see how, if they change it from the book or movie or whatever that they did, and secondly, if the dialogue is like really, really like spot on.
Well, yeah, so we know that the source material was at least popular and successful, and then we know that this guy can write. So I think it's got a lot of good things going for it. I was going to say, it looks so beautiful. I feel like I could almost smell the steam coming off the Orient Express.
Smell the steam from the Orient Express.
But no, yeah, I think it'll be fun. I really do. I could definitely see seeing it during November because I don't think, after Thor, I don't think there's a ton going on in November.
I'm into it. And I want everyone to know, because you know this, but I have a weird love for trains.
Oh, okay. I knew that about you.
Well, it's something that I always want to do. Like, I want to take a train somewhere. Like, I would rather do a
thought you were
train.
just trying to find ways to travel other than drive yourself.
Like, I would rather do a train thing than drive or fly.
Sure,
Because,
it's like the way safer than all of those other options.
Well, it's like a road trip, only you don't have to drive. And
Yeah.
you can still get to see all the cool stuff that you're passing, and it's cool. I'm not like a train nerd who knows all the different
no, not by
like
any means.
brands and engineers and stuff. What if I knew the engineers by
Here's
name?
what I would say.
The conductors.
Here's what I would say is you wish you lived in a world where you could get everywhere by train.
Yes, I wish I lived in that time where in
Well,
order
like
to get
even
from
like in Europe though, you can still get most places by train, right? Like
but
from
like
city
in
to
order
city
to get from like Chicago to LA, you had to take a train.
or drive. You could always drive. It just wouldn't be
Not in the 20s.
just wouldn't have been practical.
You couldn't do that in the 20s.
You could walk.
You could walk?
Hey, that's how people did it back in the day.
You could take one of those big giant front
Wagons?
wheel bicycles.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That didn't get you anywhere. Why did that ever exist?
I don't know.
I'm going to look it up later.
Yeah, why did big
the
wheel
big
bicycle
wheel
exist?
bicycle exist? So
But
anyway, yeah, okay, you like trains, I guess.
I do.
In a way.
I think they're cool. I like
I
them.
do think it would be cool. We've talked about like the bullet train idea.
The Hyperloop.
The Hyperloop, is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
So where the idea where they're thinking about making a Hyperloop that'll go between like Kansas City and St. Louis in 20 minutes, which is insane because it's normally 4-hour drive for those of you who don't know. And it would change our life dramatically. It would make travel so much easier to Chicago, where Charlie's from, and then also like potentially people could live in one city, work in the other, things like that. It would open up the world for so many people. So I mean, trains are cool. The idea of them is
Hashtag
cool
trains are cool.
because they are safer. They're on tracks. There's not going to be, the chances of collisions and things like that are just not really there. And you're not in the air, so you can't fall.
You can't.
So there's a lot of benefits. And I do think the old-timey train is kind of a romantic idea.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think that's why people enjoy trains from the 20s and before, is because it's romantic. It's from the time when women had their hair in those weird crimpy things, and men just smoked long cigarettes.
When it's like, I
on the
feel like
train
every
and
time I see a train
everything's velvet on the inside.
thing, it's just like someone is meeting an interesting stranger always.
Yeah, when in reality, especially if we had trains today, it would be exactly like a bus
Right, exactly.
or the train
You
that
just
take
put
to
your
Chicago.
headphones
Like,
in
you
and
would
you,
just,
because like there's
you would ignore
such a
each other
difference.
because there's no reason to get to meet each other.
It's your headphones, I think. Like there's such a difference between reading a newspaper and having headphones in. Like if you have
Sure.
headphones in, no one is coming up to you. But if you're reading a newspaper, someone literally might ask you something because you're reading a newspaper.
Like, did you read that article?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I do think it would happen maybe more back then, but I do think people shut people out back then too. People always
Probably.
say, "Oh, technology, looking at your phone." People would read books. You're not gonna probably ask them about the book unless you've read
Maybe.
the book.
Is that book
It's
any
less
good?
likely.
Do
Though.
you like books? I like
And
books.
then they'd be like, "Shh, I'm reading."
No, they would not.
Like, I feel like a newspaper, you can ask people about it, but other people would be like, "Yeah, it's good, but I'm really into it right now. Please leave me alone."
No one does that.
Yeah, totally.
People would rather
They wouldn't
have
say that, but they would
an
ignore you.
awkward, stilted conversation for
No.
an hour and a half
No.
than do that to
Disagree.
anyone.
They'd be like, "Yeah, it's great," and then they just look at their
Right.
book.
And then the person
Like-
would keep talking, and then every once in a while you'd be like, yeah,
They'd be like, "Uh huh."
yeah.
And it would be awful. And
But it
you're
would
an awful
happen.
person for not getting the clue.
It would
But
happen.
no, I don't think it happened as often. I think that it's more it's nostalgia, it's romanticized in movies and such.
I like strangers.
Oh my God. No, you don't. You literally hate strangers. You like the romantic idea of strangers.
Yes.
If I were to talk to a stranger on the street, you would start getting so uncomfortable immediately.
Maybe.
We walk around the city because we live in it. We walk around it all the time. And if I think about talking to a stranger, it makes you uncomfortable.
How do I know what you're thinking?
We're married.
That's how?
Yeah. No, like the other day, we were going to a restaurant and some ladies had just taken a photo and they're like, ask them. And I was like, what? And then they're like, no. I was like, go ahead. What do you want to ask? I didn't know. I was like thinking maybe they needed directions because they were kind of walking. And then as they were like, come on, we're going to look way better later. We're going to a wedding. And I was like, oh, they wanted a photo. I was
Yeah.
like, I could have just taken a photo of all of you together.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. But, Charlie doesn't like interactions like that.
What? I was fine with it.
Yeah, but
What
if
are you
it was
talking
just
about?
you'd feel awkward.
If it was just me,
Yeah, you'd be like, hello?
what?
Just kidding. You
No, they wouldn't have asked me
you have this idea in your
because
head.
I look far more intimidating than I actually am.
You have this idea in your head, though, that you like strangers and you like the idea of meeting strangers. But, like, when I'm like, hey, let's go to the block party down the road. Maybe we'll make some friends. You're like, oh, that's uncomfortable. Let's sit inside and not make friends.
Well, there is a couch inside.
And guess what?
What?
I made you do it. We made friends.
So there you go. Moral of the story is talk to every stranger that you possibly can and go see Orient Murder on the Train Express.
Okay.
Murder on the Orient Express in 70 millimeter
If
in
it's
theaters.
good.
If it's good. How about you see it and then tell us if it's good or not?
And I do apologize because usually we have more of a suggestion than that, but this one's a little more.
I mean, that's pretty specific.
It is specific, but usually we're like, see it or don't. And this one we're like, if it's good, see it.
Well, yeah, I guess
duh.
you're right.
If anything's good, you should see it.
Disagree, though.
Oh, okay.
Because Dunkirk is good, but I still don't want to see that.
Yeah, and I mean, we just saw recently that watching movies that are good isn't always good. Like, what's it called? That war movie we saw.
What?
My name is Desmond.
You're what?
My name is Desmond, and
Hacksaw
I saved
Ridge.
a bunch of people. There we go, Hacksaw
Yeah.
Ridge.
Yeah, that wasn't very.
Yeah,
I didn't
it was.
like that.
It was like 45 minutes of a really poorly done love story, and then a really interesting story at the end.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, just because it gets good reviews doesn't always mean it's great.
Well, do you have any plugs to plug for the pluggers?
Oh, you know what I do. So, for those of you who don't know already, we are MTT Podcast or Movie Trailer Trash. If you haven't figured that out through this whole podcast.
Nerds.
Go to mttpodcast.com and you can see all of our old episodes. There's lots of stuff up there, lots of movies that haven't come out yet, so you can see what we think of them. And we also have blogs and movie news. Check it out. Go and follow us on Twitter at MTT Podcast, or you can like us on Facebook. It's Movie Trailer Trash Podcast on Facebook.
That it is. You can also go and rate and review us on iTunes. That is very helpful.
And tell your friends about us.
Subscribe, right? Like a magazine. Who subscribes
you
to
could
magazines?
just automatically download all of our episodes.
Yeah, it's like a magazine subscription, but without the magazine
and without
it's
the
digital.
cost.
And it's free. So what's wrong with you?
Yeah. check us out. Tell your friends. And I think that's all we got.
Yes.
You know,
and
wanna
as
plug?
always, follow Entertainment Buffet at Entertainment Buffet and subscribe to their YouTube channel. It's fun.
We'll see you guys next time.
Chicka, 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 chicka.